Hi, this is Regina White Favors with Overcoming Setback Inspiration. And so the topic is about change. What is your change stage? And usually when you are trying to exit setback, there is this humbling experience that you're going to have to come to. And that humbling experience is that you have to change. There's no way around it if you want to exit your setback. Otherwise, you will always remain in a setback. And you can't look at the fact that you are making money in an area, I say in another area, as sort of a target point that, okay, I'm doing very well. Everything is going all right for me. But your setback could be emotional. Your setback could be romantic. It could be personal finances. You may do very well in business finances, but your personal finances are just a mess, right? It could be in your temperament. Do you get easily angered? So your change stage does make a difference. And I am referring to change stage in terms of a psychology term and concept. So we're going to get into it very briefly. So because I am using a visual, this audio is subject to fair use. So here are the 6 stages of change: pre-contemplation, contemplation, determination, action, maintenance, recurrence. And you can find this visual anywhere on the internet. Just type in stages of change. So the very first stage of change is pre-contemplation. You are thinking about what it is that you need to change, right? And the definition is you have not yet considered change, or you are unwilling or unable to change, but your goal would be then to raise awareness. So if someone comes to you and says you need to change whatever it is that you need to change, maybe you need to stop smoking, maybe you need to stop drinking, or you need to sort of lighten your load or something like that, you need to exercise, right? You are in that pre-contemplation stage where you are not sure you want to change. For you, if you need to exercise, or someone comes to you and says you need to exercise, right, because you are running out of steam early, well, you may reconcile, well, I can still fit my clothes. So, there's no real reason for me to exercise if I can still wear my clothes. I still look good in my clothes. It's not like I need to run a marathon. I just need to walk up the stairs, and I can do that anyway, right? And so you haven't really considered the change, because the person who's coming to you and saying that you need to exercise so that you don't huff and puff every time you walk upstairs or just walk to the mailbox, they are looking at the long-term effects of exercise, not necessarily you needing to be able to continue wearing your clothes. You're going to wear your clothes regardless. So that pre-contemplation is that your task, if someone comes to you and says you need to do this, or you are struggling with this and you need to change or something like that, the goal is not for you to become offended by it or defensive. The goal is for you to begin researching it, because the more that you become aware of something, you research it, you learn about it, you raise your awareness, the more likely you will be to incorporate one of those steps that you need to do in order for change to take place. So pre-contemplation. Contemplation. So you see the possibility of change, but you are ambivalent or uncertain. And so then your task would be to resolve that ambivalence. And with contemplation, you need to choose change. See, in pre-contemplation, you haven't chosen change, right? But in contemplation, you're going to have to begin choosing change, right? So with the exercise analogy, you might see the possibility of change. Maybe, okay, if you just walked around your neighborhood, because your excuse might be, I don't want to get into my car. I'm always driving all the time. And when I come home, I just really want to rest, and I don't want to have to come home, change my clothes, go back out, exercise for, an hour or so, then come back home, make dinner. I don't feel like all of that, right? So then the option might be for you just to walk around your neighborhood, do maybe like 2 walks and then come back in. And then that gives you a way to resolve that initial ambivalence towards it, and then help you to move towards change, or to choose change, right? Some people might utilize maybe smoking an e-cigarette over a regular cigarette, but we found out too that the e-cigarette can be just as dangerous or more dangerous than the regular cigarette. Well, somewhere you're gonna have to make a decision. So some people make a decision towards change by chewing those little gums, I guess they're nicotine gums or something like that, to sort of process themselves out. Because if you've been smoking since you were in your teen years, that is a very hard habit to break. And so your goal would then be to begin resolving your ambivalence, that going back and forth. If you are a person who has dealt with an abusive situation, and you are romantically tied and emotionally tied to the situation, you don't see change as possible. Because then if you see change as possible, then that means you actually have to change. And if your environment has been, set up for you, even though you are getting emotionally and physically abused every day, you think to yourself, and the way our mothers used to tell us, well, he's not hitting you every day, is he? Just once or twice a week. Sometimes you just have to put up with things as a woman in order for you to live comfortably, right? And I'm not saying that's what you have to do, but I'm saying that's how we were sort of taught. And you say to yourself, okay, if I leave, where am I going to go? My husband pays all the bills. He got us this house. I have a car. I would have to give all of that up. And it's not that you want to stay in that environment and continue to receive abuse. It's that there has been so much investment into that environment that you are ambivalent about what it is that you need to change. Because you can always get new furniture, you can always get a new car, you can always get a new house with your own efforts. And if you have been the type of person who has never worked, who has had a husband or a father or a parent who has taken care of everything for you, your ambivalence is very high. So that means you would have to begin tackling that ambivalence towards moving yourself to change, to actually walking out the door. So determination comes, and it is defined as committed to changing, still considering what to do. And then you are now thinking about appropriate change strategies. So the one thing I liked about that movie with Julia Roberts, I forget the title of it, but she was being abused by her husband, and we see her in, the husband abusing her, and sleeping with the enemy. We see the husband abusing her, and we think, when is she going to leave? How can she leave, right? But we realize, or we discover all this time, that she had been planning to leave all this time. Just because she took the hits does not mean that she accepted the hits in terms of her fate. She had already saved money. She told her husband that she was volunteering at the library when she was actually an employee making money. She told her husband that she couldn't swim, but she was going to the YWCA to learn how to swim. So she was creating strategies that were appropriate to her current situation. She also ran off and moved her mother to another facility. So she was taking different types of strategies. She was determined to leave. And that was her sort of movement towards change. So now we have action, taking steps toward change, but hasn't stabilized in the process. So your task would be to help eliminate change strategies and learn to eliminate potential relapses. So she got a little sloppy, Julia Roberts' character. She got a little sloppy. She should have told the people at the YWCA that she was moving or something like that. Of course, it might be hard if they find out that she's dead. Usually people will want to call and say, give their condolences. So that could be hard to do. But she got sloppy with the last paycheck, I think. She got sloppy leaving the ring in the toilet. So because he knows she would never take off the ring, right? Because it's just understood that she is his property. So there were certain steps that she sort of missed, that that she didn't back herself up with to make sure that she was actually gone for good or dead, right? Maintenance. So the definition for maintenance would be you have achieved the goals and are working to maintain change. So you are developing new skills for maintaining recovery. So if you're the person who is trying to lose weight, or you are exercising because you're tired of huffing and puffing, then you have to begin maintaining your goals. They should be sustainable goals that beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you can keep up. I'm not the kind of person, even though I like the idea of a gym, I'm not the kind of person who's going to keep up with going to the gym because I ride the bus. And I already have to ride the bus from my place of work, which takes time, and then I have to come home and change and then go and ride the bus across town. I'm not going to want to do that after teaching all day. So then one of the goals that I adopted was don't leave the campus too early, or just sign up for an exercising class, and then you do that for an hour or so, and then you leave the campus. And that was a goal that I could maintain because the gym facility was close enough to where my class was. So when I finished, all I basically had to do was go into the restroom and change my clothes and then go and exercise. That was something that I could actually keep up. I'm not always for walking around the neighborhood because it's getting kind of dangerous and people are, picking fights and snatching people off the street. I'm not quite sure that's a very good idea right now. So it might be better for you to go to the gym because that's a more controlled environment. But that's something that I think it is definitely possible to do. So the last stage of change, recurrence. So some people can experience a relapse. And so you have to cope with the consequences and determine what to do next. So part of change is always, you might have to experience a setback, especially if you're trying to exercise and you pull a muscle, right? That might have you bedridden. What that basically means, you might be working too hard, or you are not putting in enough of the nutrients to solve that particular area, right? So you can relapse. But as long as you understand that you are moving yourself towards change, that's all that's important. And maintenance is the key, because you may have a recurrence, you may have a setback. That's just part of life. If you want to run a marathon, you can expect pain. There's no way around it. Every time you train, you can expect pain. Sometimes you don't eat well enough, you can expect pain, right? So you can definitely expect that. In the case of the film I was talking about, Sleeping with the Enemy, the husband managed to find her and find the mother and find where she lived. And so he was considered a recurrence, right? Well, she was faced with the consequence of deciding whether to call the police and let the police handle it, which her history, suggests that they never handled it, right? Or shoot him in that moment. Use that situation as a way to say he's an intruder, which he was, because she didn't invite him. Use his own gun against him and shoot him, and now she won't have that recurrence. Now, you may still have the residue of dealing with that kind of situation, so you may have trust issues. So then you may have to go through the stages of change on a trust level, right? You may still be fearful. You may avoid certain types of situations, right? But maintenance is the key, Because if you can maintain, you can look back and reflect on the action, the determination, the contemplation, and pre-contemplation, and maintenance will always hedge against recurrence if you are focused on long-term change. So these are the stages of change. It's overcome setback, inspiration, so that you can look forward to something while you are in your setback and be able to assess your own change. So the book Overcoming Setback will be available August 2021. And thank you very much for listening to this audio.